Are you afraid of growing old alone, even though you've raised children with all your love and dedication? It's a terrifying thought that keeps many seniors up at night. According to recent studies, over 40% of elderly Americans report feeling abandoned by their adult children in their later years. This isn't just sad statistics. This could be your future if you don't recognize the warning signs now. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 6 hidden psychological signs that make adult children distance themselves from their aging parents and, most importantly, exactly how you can prevent this from happening to you before it's too late. Let me tell you about Harold, a 78-year-old retired school principal from Ohio. After his wife Diane passed away 15 years ago, Harold dedicated his life to raising their 3 children alone. He worked overtime to put them through college, attended every game and recital, and was the definition of a devoted father. But something changed when Harold turned 72. His phone started ringing less. His children's visits became shorter and more infrequent. At first, he blamed it on their busy lives, Kevin with his law practice, Jennifer with her growing family, and Michael with his new job across the country. Last month, on Harold's 78th birthday, he prepared a special dinner, hoping at least one of his children would show up. He waited by the phone all day. No calls, no visits, no text messages. As Harold blew out the single candle on his store-bought cake, he realized a devastating truth. He had somehow lost his children along the way, and he didn't understand why. What Harold didn't realize was that he had been displaying certain behaviors that pushed his children away. Behaviors that you might be showing right now without even knowing it. Let's dive into these 6 critical warning signs so you don't end up alone like Harold. Sign 1. Constant criticism and lack of validation. Are you unknowingly pushing your children away with every conversation? The first major sign that leads to adult children abandoning their elderly parents is constant criticism and an inability to validate their life choices. Psychologists at Harvard University have documented that persistent criticism creates what they call emotional scar tissue, permanent damage to parent-child relationships that becomes increasingly difficult to repair as you age. This isn't just about occasional disagreements. It's about a pattern that makes your children dread talking to you. Take Meredith, a 74-year-old grandmother from Florida. She couldn't understand why her daughter Ashley limited their phone calls to just 5 minutes once a month. What Meredith failed to realize was how every conversation became a critique session. Ashley's parenting style was too soft, her career choices were disappointing, and even her husband's job wasn't prestigious enough. The final straw came when Meredith criticized how Ashley was handling her son's learning disability. That night, Ashley decided she couldn't subject herself to that judgment anymore. To avoid this fate, you must implement what family therapists call the validation before opinion technique. Before offering any advice or criticism, first acknowledge and validate your child's feelings and decisions. Say things like, "I can see how hard you're working at this," or "I understand why you'd make that choice given your situation." Then ask yourself, is my opinion actually necessary here? In most cases, your adult children aren't looking for advice, they're looking for acceptance. Remember, your relationship with your adult children is no longer about authority. It's about connection. Start validating more and criticizing less today, before you find yourself wondering why your phone never rings. Sign 2. Inability to respect boundaries. Do you sometimes feel entitled to be involved in every aspect of your adult child's life? This second warning sign is a major reason why elderly parents find themselves abandoned and alone. According to Dr. Patricia Wilson, a leading family psychologist at Northwestern University, boundary violations rank as the #1 reason adult children create distance from their aging parents. Her research shows that parents who consistently ignore boundaries in their 60s and 70s find themselves completely cut off by the time they reach 80. Consider what happened to Douglas, a 76-year-old retired accountant. He thought showing up unannounced at his son Brandon's house was just being spontaneous and loving. He'd let himself in with the emergency key, rearrange furniture that didn't look right, and offer unsolicited parenting advice to his son and daughter-in-law. Douglas couldn't understand why Brandon eventually changed the locks and limited their interactions to public settings only. "I was just trying to help," Douglas said tearfully during a therapy session. By then, the relationship had suffered significant damage. To preserve your relationship with your children, you must recognize and respect both explicit and implicit boundaries. Start by explicitly asking, "Is this a good time to talk?" before diving into conversations. Never show up without calling first. Don't offer advice unless specifically asked. And perhaps most importantly, recognize that your adult children have the right to make decisions you disagree with, even if those decisions affect your grandchildren. Try this approach today. The next time you feel the urge to step in, stop and ask yourself, would I do this to a close friend? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't do it to your adult child either. Respecting boundaries isn't about being shut out of their lives. It's about being welcomed in on healthier terms. Sign 3. Emotional manipulation and guilt trips. Have you ever exaggerated a health concern to get your child's attention? Or perhaps said something like, "I guess I'll just sit here alone since you're too busy for me." This third warning sign, emotional manipulation, might seem effective in the short term, but guarantees abandonment in your later years. Clinical psychologists from Yale University's Center for Aging Studies have found that emotional manipulation tactics create what they call a cry wolf syndrome. Initially, these tactics may work to get attention, but over time, they create deep resentment and distrust. Eventually, when you truly need help, your children may not believe you or might be too emotionally exhausted to respond. Take the case of Evelyn, a 75-year-old widow from Chicago. Whenever her son Gregory didn't call for a few days, she'd leave voicemails suggesting she might have had another episode or that she fell again, even when nothing had happened. She'd claim doctors found something concerning during routine checkups. For years, Gregory would drop everything and rush over, but after discovering multiple false alarms, he began to doubt all her claims. When Evelyn actually did fall and break her hip last year, Gregory didn't respond to her call for hours, assuming it was another manipulation. Now, she lives alone in a nursing facility, with Gregory visiting only on major holidays. To avoid this devastating outcome, you must communicate your needs directly and honestly. Instead of manipulation, try vulnerability. Rather than saying, "I guess no one cares if I'm alive anymore," try, "I've been feeling lonely lately and would really appreciate a visit when you have time." Acknowledge that your children have busy lives while expressing your genuine needs without exaggeration or guilt. Start rebuilding trust today by being absolutely honest about your health and emotional needs for the next 30 days. You'll likely notice a positive shift in how your children respond to you. Remember, true connection is built on authenticity, not manipulation. Sign 4. Refusing to adapt to changes. Do you find yourself constantly saying things like, "That's not how we did things in my day," or "I'm too old to learn these new technologies"? This fourth warning sign, resistance to adaptation, creates a widening gap between you and your adult children that becomes nearly impossible to bridge after 70. Gerontologists at the University of Michigan have conducted longitudinal studies showing that seniors who embrace change and adaptation maintain significantly stronger family bonds than those who remain rigid. Their research reveals that the inability to adapt to technological and social changes is a leading predictor of elder isolation. Consider Theodore, an 81-year-old retired engineer who refused to get a smartphone or learn to text. When his children set up a family group chat to coordinate care and share photos of the grandchildren, Theodore insisted they should just call like normal people. He rejected video calls as unnecessary gadgetry and complained when family gatherings included new traditions. Slowly, Theodore found himself excluded from family communications and last-minute gatherings. His children still provided for his basic needs, but the emotional connection withered away. To prevent this isolation, you must cultivate what aging experts call flexible thinking. This doesn't mean abandoning your values or wisdom. It means being willing to integrate new ideas and technologies into your life. Start by asking your grandchildren to teach you something new about technology each week. Express curiosity rather than judgment about changing social norms. Here's a practical step. Identify one modern technology that your children use regularly, whether it's texting, video calls, or social media, and ask them to help you learn it this week. Don't worry about making mistakes. Your willingness to try will mean more to them than your perfection. Adaptation isn't just about technology. It's about showing your children that you're still engaged with the world they live in. Sign 5. Excessive dependency and overburdening. Are you calling your daughter to fix every minor problem in your home? Do you expect your son to drive you to every appointment? This fifth warning sign, premature or excessive dependency, creates a burden that eventually breaks even the most devoted children. The National Institute on Aging has identified what they call dependency overload as a primary factor in family caregiver burnout. Their research shows that seniors who maintain appropriate independence have children who remain more engaged and supportive when serious needs actually arise. Look at what happened to Sylvia, a 73-year-old from Pennsylvania. Though physically capable, she began relying on her daughter Olivia for increasingly minor tasks, managing simple bills, picking up prescriptions, even changing light bulbs. What started as Olivia helping once a week turned into daily assistance. Eventually, Olivia, juggling her own career and children, became overwhelmed. The resentment built silently until Olivia had a breakdown, telling her mother she couldn't be her personal assistant anymore. Their relationship became strained, and Olivia arranged for paid services to replace her daily visits. Sylvia now sees her daughter only monthly for brief, tension-filled visits. To maintain healthy relationships with your adult children, you must practice what geriatric social workers call appropriate independence. This means utilizing community resources, senior services, and paid assistance for routine needs, saving your requests for family help for matters that truly require their personal touch. Start today by making a list of the things you've asked your children to help with in the past month. Then, honestly evaluate which ones you could have managed yourself or with paid services. For every unnecessary request you eliminate, you're investing in the emotional quality of your relationship with your children. Remember, your goal should be to spend time with your children because they want to, not because they have to. Sign 6. Lack of genuine interest in your children's lives. Do you spend most conversations talking about yourself, your health, or your problems? This sixth and perhaps most surprising sign, demonstrating little genuine interest in your adult children's lives, creates an unsustainable one-way relationship that eventually collapses. Relationship psychologists from Stanford University's Longevity Center have identified what they call conversational narcissism as a key predictor of relationship breakdown between elderly parents and their adult children. Their studies show that balanced reciprocal interest is essential for maintaining connections as you age. Consider Warren, a 79-year-old retired postal worker who couldn't understand why his son Daniel stopped calling. In their therapy session, Daniel explained that every 30-minute call consisted of 25 minutes of Warren discussing his ailments, complaints about neighbors, and stories from the past. When Daniel tried to share about his promotion or his son's baseball tournament, Warren would listen briefly before steering the conversation back to himself. "It's like I don't exist as a person to him," Daniel explained. "I'm just an audience." Now, Warren's calls go to voicemail, and Daniel limits their interactions to short, infrequent visits. To maintain meaningful connections with your children, practice what communication experts call active interest. This means asking specific questions about their lives, remembering details they've shared previously, and following up on important events. The 50-50 rule is crucial here. Aim for conversations where you listen at least as much as you speak. Try this immediately. In your next conversation with your adult child, make a conscious effort to ask 3 specific questions about their life, work, or interests before sharing anything about yourself. Show that you remember what they've told you previously by following up. How did that project at work turn out? Or did Jamie enjoy the summer camp you mentioned? This simple shift from self-focus to other focus can transform your relationship before it's too late. Now you understand the 6 critical warning signs that cause adult children to abandon their elderly parents: constant criticism, boundary violations, emotional manipulation, resistance to change, excessive dependency, and self-centered conversation. Recognizing these patterns in yourself is the first crucial step toward ensuring you don't end up alone in your later years. Remember Frank, an 82-year-old former business owner who noticed his relationships with his children deteriorating. Unlike Harold from our opening story, Frank took action. He sought counseling, learned to validate his children's choices, respected their boundaries, communicated honestly, embraced new technologies, maintained appropriate independence, and developed genuine interest in his children's lives. Today, at 86, Frank enjoys weekly family dinners, regular video calls with grandchildren, and the security of knowing he's truly connected to his family. It's never too late to rebuild these bridges. Start implementing these changes today. Practice validation instead of criticism, respect boundaries, communicate directly without manipulation, adapt to changes, maintain appropriate independence, and show genuine interest in your children's lives. Your future self will thank you for the comfort, connection, and care that comes from maintaining these precious family bonds. If you recognized yourself in any of these warning signs, don't panic. Awareness is the first step to positive change. Hit the like button right now and comment below which of these 6 signs surprised you the most. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming video on how to rebuild relationships with distant adult children, even if years have passed. Share this video with friends who might benefit from this knowledge. You might just save someone from a lonely future. Your later years should be filled with family connection, and with these insights, they absolutely can be.